It began, as so many wonderful British disasters do, with good manners. A French buyer, polite, charming, and terribly proper, placed an unprecedented order for British cheddar. Neal's Yard Dairy was ecstatic. 18 pallets of their finest, hand-picked, stacked on a lorry and sent on their way. A big sale. A proud moment. A victory for British cheese in the age-old culinary rivalry. And then, nothing. Suddenly, it wasn't just a sale, it was a heist. Cue the tabloids. Celebrity chef Jamie Oliver dubs it the Great Cheese Heist. It's funny, sure, until you realize it isn't a joke. This isn't just one slippery Frenchman with a fondness for free dairy. This had all the markings of something bigger, something darker. The so-called international food mafia, the same shadowy networks that moved caviar and truffles, has apparently crowned British cheddar as the next luxury to smuggle.
We've been trading with these companies for decades. They're our friends. So a simple email saying, hey, we'd like to order 6 pitchfork. That's kind of a typical bit of correspondence between us. And I like the fact that a small little deli can just pick up the phone and say, can I order 6 kilos of your cheese?
It's a really, really close community. I think, I would consider the people I work with in cheese as a close friend. It's kind of built up a real joint, because often you're all small family businesses, you're all generational businesses, a lot of them family businesses, so you have various generations, like their grandparents will all talk to each other, then the next generation comes through and your children are the same age, and so it's kind of all is a very, very close-knit community.
Would I like to move to a system where we have people can only order through a little portal on a dedicated kind of module, and they have to put in purchase order numbers and it all becomes very formalized? That might be more secure and protected, and maybe that's the way the world is headed. But there's something quite nice, and maybe it's naive, in the world of artisan cheese where people still can just pick up a phone and order some cheese.
I'm Lauren Blanton.
I'm Cole Jarvis.
And this is Chasing Cheddar.
Episode 3, Culinary Crackdown. It's certainly an experience reporting in a new country. The roadblocks are different, cultural considerations change, even crossing the street's an adjustment. But hey, it's all Gouda. Just kidding. Too much? Anyway, I quickly learned that we, the press, are quite lucky that in the United States, we're able to get a lot of information about people who have been arrested. Here in the United Kingdom, arrest records are not as informative. We were able to get our hands on the case summary for the Neal's Yard Dairy cheese heist. It reads as follows.
Detectives investigating the theft of a large quantity of cheese from a manufacturer based in Southwark have made 5 arrests.
5? As far as we knew, the only arrest was made on October 30th, 2024. That 63-year-old supposed Frenchman. But now, this said it was much, much bigger. I'm not gonna lie. In fact, I want to be completely transparent with you. As journalists, we're supposed to be skeptical. And I was skeptical, very skeptical at times, of Neal's Yard Dairy. First of all, the business has made news for other reasons recently. Prior to the heist in October of 2024, profits at Neal's Yard Dairy were declining significantly. According to accounts with Companies House, which is the government registry for businesses in the UK, Neal's Yard Dairy's pre-tax profit saw a drop of almost £650,000. Just by hearing that, it sounds drastic. We know Neal's Yard Dairy got an insurance payout from what happened. But mostly what made me wonder is that they suddenly stopped talking about it all. When the crime took place, they were eager to speak. It feels like all of this was just swept under the rug after its run in the news cycle. We pushed hard, but they just kept saying, quote, It distracts us from our day job, working to sell great cheese, unquote.
We're talking about it because Neal's Yard Dairy, who were robbed effectively, have turned this magnificently to their advantage. They have gained reputation, not lost it.
Will be for that particular fraud.
As we sit here now, Simon, it must be the case that Neal's Yard as a business has more value now than it did before this.
But to be super clear, we have no evidence of anything like an inside job. Juliana and Ian asked Ben while they were at the dairy farm.
Well, but if I saw Tom Calvert and Todd turn up in new cars, I'd be like, like what happened? What happened to these guys? The two people. You sold a ton of cheese. I know as kind of dairy manager, I haven't seen a pay rise.
I wanted to ask police, but we couldn't get them on the phone. Best we got was an email. It came from Metropolitan Police Service Communications Manager Hannah Kilminster. My colleague Lauren Blanton reads a summary of what Kilminster told us.
A 63-year-old man was the first to be arrested back in late October. Since then, the Met Specialist Crime Team has arrested several others. A 37-year-old man on January 2nd. A 45-year-old man 11 days later. Another 63-year-old man 10 days after that. And a 57-year-old man on April 30th, just over 6 months since the crime took place. All 5 men were arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to defraud and handling stolen goods. They've now been released pending further investigation. Though what that really means in police terms is anyone's guess.
Juliana and Ian ran this by the farmers.
We've heard a bit from Neal's Yard, and then, from what we've heard in what I read in the press, I think the most likely place was maybe it ended up in Russia.
Russia? So, not the French? I called Dr. Alice Rizzuti, who studies food supply crimes in England and Italy at the University of Hull's School of Criminology, Sociology, and Policing.
We're talking about very expensive cheese, obviously. Otherwise, I guess there wouldn't have been much interest. And so it was more of a scam rather than a fraud.
I showed Alice the case summary that we got from the police.
Even in the other food crime cases that I came across, the investigations are usually complex and long, especially like in this case, if there are instances of a transnational cross-border activity, which is often the case with food crimes. So multiple jurisdictions, multiple people, like clearly in this case. What I find interesting when it comes to food crimes, as I told you before, I was initially, so I'm Italian, as you can probably guess from my accent, and that's why I wanted to focus on Italy and mafia involvement, because I had a certain idea. I wanted to know that the food that I was eating was mafia-free, so that there were no involvements, ethically speaking, and so on. What I found in my research, what I keep finding every time I approach this topic, is that yes, there are involvements of organized crime, of mafia even, like the case that I mentioned. However, in the majority of the cases, the criminals come from within the food industry or a very close connection to the food industry.
Food mafia. This is what victims like Ben Ticehurst and other cheesemongers, like Andy Swinsko, have come to believe happened during the scam that British press dubbed the Great British Cheese Heist. As if we didn't have enough problems with our supply chain, with food prices, with scarcity. Now we also have to worry about Tony Soprano coming for our cheese? I wonder how much better the mafia eats compared to law-abiding citizens, or how many favors it takes to acquire such large quantities of cheese or food. My colleagues Madeline Green and Lauren Blanton hit the streets of London to talk to people about it.
I would be very, very worried, I would like to think that my food is coming from reputable sources. So black market cheese, I don't think I would want to be a part of that.
We went to Borough Market and asked other food vendors, have you heard of the food mafia?
So it's a fairly common occurrence. In Italy, it's still a very common occurrence in the wine trade for there to be mafias, and which is why there's so many cooperatives being built around vineyards. Producers also have serial numbers on their wine bottles. Some of these bottles are going for tens of thousands of pounds. I know who bought that bottle with the serial number, so if I see it being resold, I'm not going to sell to that person again. Is it pretentious? Probably. Do I kind of see the point? Yeah.
I have to tell you, Cole, talking to the people on the streets of London was one of my favorite parts of the trip. Nothing like a healthy dose of British humor.
Every day I enter the market petrified that one of our chili jams, our best-selling chili jams, come to Pimento Hill, buy chili jams. Quick plug. One of them will be stolen. Yeah, I worry every day when I enter and I open the shop up. Gosh, even thinking about it now, gosh, my heart's going. Yeah, it's awful.
In all seriousness, this story doesn't have a perfectly curated ending. The investigation in the Great British Cheese Heist is still ongoing. The exact motive is still unknown, just like the location of the vanished cheese. Ben thinks it could be in Russia. Others say in the Middle East. I guess all that's clear is that it's melting beautifully in the watering mouths of people who otherwise wouldn't have gotten a taste of British cheddar. For Ben, that's still a good thing. And for us, well, my colleague Madeline Green wraps it up neatly, like cheddar in a cheesecloth.
Our time in Great Britain has come to an end. Our bags are packed, our passports are out, our flights are boarding. With us, we're taking home a cheesy little story to share with the world. A very British tale, complete with understated outrage, sarcasm, the quiet resilience of a country that somehow managed to turn even a dairy heist into a tale of pride, culture, and just the right amount of dry, dark humor. Kind of like a perfectly matured cheddar.
Chasing Cheddar is a production of Switchboard Magazine and IEI Media. It's hosted collaboratively by me, Cole Jarvis, along with Marley Card, Juliana Simon, Ian Curtis, Madeline Green, Lauren Blanton, and Jason Steinfeld. We all co-produced it alongside Lily Bartolucci and Zoe DeHaan. Our executive producers are Sarah Ganem and Celia Aniskovic. Music for this series comes from Epidemic Sound. Special thanks to the Pod Shop in London and IEI Media Program Director, Eileen Prusher. Thanks for listening, and remember, life's better when it's a little cheesy.